Welcome to the Men Talk About podcast. This is your host, Paul Newell. Who you with? Welcome to the podcast. Thank you for being here with us. And I see the numbers. I see you all listening and supporting, and it's appreciated. And I got some special stuff for you all coming up too at the end of this podcast. Yup. So today you know how I do. I'm always excited with these podcasts. And today is more than excitement. Today is like exhilaration, because like I've been my guest today. We have I've been watching this dude. I've been learning from this dude. I connect with this dude. Yo, this is the king right here, man. And I'm blessed because I think I'm bringing you all a gem before others really see it's a gem. So like, yo, I'm bringing this to you before it hits the masses. So bless up to my man, Zach. Bruckner is how I pronounce your last name, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
All right, word. What's that?
Yeah, it's Bruckner.
Word. And I always say fit as bro. He's fit as bro.
Yeah, however you want.
Yo, most def, man. So listen, Zach, give you a little history and intro for Zach, my man ZB. Zach and I work together at a facility, a space called Lifetime Athletics in New Jersey. I met Zach when I first went there, came there. I was like, listen, this dude he gets it. And I never like to look at age. I just felt like connecting with Zach. He's an old soul. He's been here before. He's got wisdom. So like after all the pandemic, I remember watching his content, and also he's got a podcast out too. What's the name of the podcast? It's escaping my mind. Morning time.
Yeah, Strongest Self.
Strongest Self. So I really got into another level, a higher level of appreciation and admiration for Zach when him and another one of our co-workers, Steve Murray, at the time, were talking about a lot of stuff with COVID. And I was like, yo, my man's bringing the data, the gems, the realness. He's not like bringing this fluffing and this opinionated shit. He's coming from the realness. So I was like, oh, man, okay, paying attention. Then coming back to work with him, I appreciated how he worked with his clients in regards to like his connection, how I saw he connected with them, and how I saw he programmed. Because if you've heard this podcast before, you know, and if you're not, you haven't, you'll hear now. I had double hip replacement surgery June 2020. So my thing was helping myself get strong because I never lifted weights before. And this is the man that really helped to get me on this path to strengthening my body. So bless up to my man, Zach, personal trainer, nutritionist, programmer extraordinaire, supreme. Who you with, Zach? Welcome to the Men Talk About podcast, bro.
Thank you, Paul, for that wonderful introduction. Probably being far too kind to me, but I'll take it.
Shoot. Yeah, you're far too kind. Yeah, bro.
I didn't even realize that you hadn't really strength trained like that before. I mean, I know your background's like animal flow and yoga, but I didn't realize you hadn't ever really strength trained like that. So that's crazy. That's news to me right now.
Yeah, word. Yeah, dude. I was into the weights heavy, like especially in college into my mid-20s, and I was deadlifting. I remember I was deadlifting 435. And it was like I was doing it down in Kane, and the ego kicked in. I was like, yo, I gotta give one more. I was like, it was like, well, I'm out. So listen, Zach, because I want to use that as a jump off to what we're going to talk about today, which for those tuning in, we're going to be talking about strengthening your body. And this is partly about the weights, but it's also about understanding different perspectives and embracing variety in training to strengthen the body and strengthen resolve. So before I dive into that though, Zach, is there anything else like you want the people to know about you that I failed to include in the intro that you want to put out there now?
I think you covered most of it. I've been a trainer for 4.5 years, nutrition coach, group fitness coach, strength and conditioning coach. Yeah, I love what I do. Love connecting with people. Definitely love pushing them to become stronger versions of themselves, both physically, obviously, we're strength training in the gym, but also mentally, and having them get to a point where they feel how strength training and fitness and wellness brings them greater balance and happiness to their life. That if they invest that time and energy, they're not going to lose out on other things, but they're going to gain, and they're going to be in a better spot. So that's really what I look at. I look at strength training and resistance training and conditioning, everything, training your body as an it's a way to get to training your mind and getting to that end point of having that balance in life. So that's where I feel I come in. But that's really my passion. So,
bro, I was about to say amen while you were talking. I was like, testify. Yo, so listen, now I'm curious because I want, before we even go in, what got you into training, man?
Yeah, so I started working out first when I must have been like 15 or 16. I used to skateboard, so I was real skinny, like 150 pounds, soaking wet, 6'1", jumping downstairs and doing flip tricks and everything. That I love that, man. That was me during my teenage years. I was just skating every day. Then around 15, 16, I started to realize, man, some of these other guys around me are getting kind of big, and like I'm real skinny. So I started lifting had little dumbbells in my gym. It was or in my basement, my parents' dumbbells. So I started doing bicep curls and push-ups and little crunches and whatever. It's like strictly like chest, arms, and and
The base workout, bro.
You know what I mean? Everyone starts there. So then when I went away to college, I got a little more serious, started getting into like a more well-rounded routine. Graduated, still was working out, got more into it after I graduated. It was putting a lot of my free time into going to the gym. And I was very much kind of like a bodybuilder at that point. I liked there maybe a touch of kind of that top end of powerlifting in there with squatting and deadlifting and benching. But, I was doing it mostly just to look good. Did like no cardio, no like mobility training, just straight up go in the gym, put the bar on your back, do a couple warm-up sets, like, and rip it. Like,
go in, yo, warm up.
What? Let's just go. I'm young, I can handle it. So then around my mid-20s, I kind of realized I wanted to make a career shift. And that's when I started studying just, I bought the materials for my NASM cert, studied for that, took the test, passed it, and then just went straight to applying to Lifetime Fitness. And I'd never heard about Lifetime Fitness before, but I ended up going through the application process and getting the job. And I remember my first few weeks, months, I was just walking around like, man, I had no idea. I had no idea how to coach. I had no idea how to, I could work out, I'd look good, right, but I had no idea how to write a workout for, Miss Susan over here, who's 55 with 2 kids at home and busy and wants to lose a little weight and has these couple injuries that she has to work around. Right. I had no idea to do that. That shit scared me. So I remember that point and just slowly but surely kind of just pushing myself to work with people who were outside of my comfort zone. And that's really where I just started to learn, getting more certifications as I went along, so on and so forth. But yeah, it was really just, I wanted to be like a sponge and just soak up more knowledge. We had a lot of trainers and coaches that worked there at that time that were really experienced. So I kind of just, I would always come to them and try and get a little snippet of knowledge here and there. And, 4.5 years later, I feel like I'm starting to kind of put it all together. I feel like I have a lot to go, but I'm starting to kind of understand this whole fitness and wellness thing. So yeah, still love it.
What's up, man? Yeah, because it's like, listen, I'm of the thinking like I'm always a beginner, man. So I'm always watching. So I dig that. So man, because I see how you operate when you're on the floor, and I see like when bro, when I see you teaching and training a client, bro, you're in a zone. I appreciate trainers that when they're with their clients, they're like in the details, having fun, present. Because like I think now with people and just the amount of stress, I think it's and people failing to be seen, right? Like, yeah, like, hey, like, yo, you got an injury, let's address that. I think that having that as a trainer is so important now, and I see you have that, and for me anyway, I feel like that comes from a love of what you do. So for you, when did you know, when did you feel like, I love this shit?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I always knew I liked working out, but actually being a trainer and a coach, it's got to come down to some of my first few clients where, you know, a few months in, you actually start to build a connection and relationship with them and actually start to help them achieve some of their goals.
Right.
And just seeing what that does to their life, how it improves it, to their happiness. You know, seeing their face light up when they do an exercise they didn't think they could do before. That's it right there. Like, as soon as you see that and make that connection, that is what makes it, you know, everything worth it.
Yo, for
So
real.
it's got to be that, you know, and then continuing to chase that, that feeling.
Right.
And just finding, you know, what's the next challenge, what's the next person I can help. And it's crazy because every individual is different. You know, everyone's going to respond differently to a different type of training program and a different type of coaching. You know, some need to be pushed one way, where some people just kind of need the data and the info and they run with it themselves. So it's a challenge seeing everybody as an individual and figuring out what's the kind of most straightforward and streamlined approach for them.
Right.
You know, but once you can kind of crack that nut, it's like, it's a beautiful thing.
It's like a blossom. It's
right?
crazy. It's the most, you know, that right there is one of the most beautiful things. Cause that look on the face, like, wow. And it's like, for me as a coach, like, I'm like, yo, I knew you could get that shit. Mm-hmm. I get all amped and I'm like, oh, Jack, I want to do the robot and shit. It's like, yo.
At that point, beautiful. You know that they start to believe in themselves. When as before, you may have been the one that could believe in them, and you believe in your own ability. Like, I know as a coach, I can get someone from point A to point B.
Right.
If they put in the work.
Right.
You know, if they allow me to guide them.
Word.
But then once, you know, a lot of people are still skeptical at first. They've tried it so many times before, they haven't been able to get there. You know, they've tried XYZ training program or ABC diet, and none of it's ever worked. And now this trainer at this big brand gym is going to come in and, you know, superhero save the day kind of thing, right? Yeah, right. But once that happens, you know, they kind of, I guess they call it seeing the light, right? They see the light and they start to understand. And you know then that's a point where they're going to hopefully and most likely adopt that kind of training and incorporate it into the lifestyle. And now they have that forever. Right. And that's really the goal, is to find that approach that works for them, give it to them, tweak it here and there as they need. But, you know, eventually if they move away, or if, you know, their job changes and they can't train with you anymore, the goal is for them to have that approach and continue it for life, even if I'm not there with them weekly or monthly or on whatever basis it might be.
Right. Well, it's like, I appreciate how you approach it, because how you approach that is very similar to how I do it too. Is like, I like for them to learn and practice, because it's I feel like, you know, something you said that really interests me, that I do some dots together, is you're a skateboarder. Mm-hmm. I remember, like, when I was a kid, I used to skateboard. I remember, for me to really get good, you talking about different tricks now. I'm like, okay, Zach was putting in work. So that was practice. That was falling on your face, falling on your ass, getting bruised up, like, yo, and still coming at it, like, yo, I'm gonna get that. And then also, speaking of that light, yo, when you hit the trick, you're like, oh, yo, yo, man. So I appreciate that you said that. And you said something else that really resonated with me. You said that they find, I forget exactly how you put it, but you said, like, when they find their way, like their space to do something in. And that's why I really wanted to focus in on for this podcast, to really help to bring these gems in education about lifestyle, how men can support and do this. And also, I didn't put what this podcast, who this podcast is for. This podcast is for men. This podcast is for men's development, men's education, men's inner work, also for anyone aligned with the masculine energies. This is for you. Yes. Yo, how did I forget that? Anyway, whatever, man. Yo, so listen, coming to this, like, to set this up, when I came back from surgery, right, and I came back to Lifetime, I went through, to me, I feel like I'm always going to go through physical therapy just to keep things in alignment, like my band exercises, all that stuff. I feel like I'm forever going to be doing that shit.
Yeah.
But when I went to hit a certain point in my therapy, I was like, I wanted to get strong, and I was in fear because, like, dude, like I hadn't weight trained in really like 7 years. Like, I would do some light work because I was like, I just wanted to keep moving because I knew if I stopped, I wasn't gonna be. I'd be like, I'd be like the Tin Man. That's how bad my hips were in pain.
Yeah.
So it was like, and I don't know if you remember, like before the COVID, like I was limping bad, and I tried to play it off, but I was like, yo, man, this shit fucking hurts. And I remember, like I was frustrated because I was like, yo, I want to freaking get stronger, and I'm like, yo, I don't want to break. That was like the inner thought in my head.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, I don't even know if you know this, but like literally when that thought was going through my head, you and I had a conversation that day, and you were like, yo, if you ain't getting stronger, you're getting weaker.
Say that.
And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
yo, and it like lit a fire into my ass because I was like, yo, I'm not fucking going back to that shit that I was in, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was like, yo, and I didn't know how. And it's crazy because like this is the first time I'm telling you this, but like anytime I was having thoughts in my head about like, yo, man, damn, man, like, yo, I really want to start squatting again. Here you go, coming with some goodness. Like, yo, I see you train. I'm like, hey, Zach. And then we have a conversation when you remember that time you were talking to me about box squats?
Yeah.
That was a day when I was like, yo, man, I really want to get back into this, but I'm freaking in fear.
Yeah, we got out there on the floor and like found your setup and like the height that was good for you, and used the I think we busted out like the safety squat bar too.
Yeah, bro.
You know, yeah.
Yes, King. And it's like, and also I'm thinking about too, like another time before that, when like I started to get back into the deadlift, and you were like, I was like, yo, I know if I use the bar, I'm gonna be rounding my spine and shit. And I was like, and then you were like, yo, man, shit, why are you starting from the ground? Lift that shit up. And I was like, it was like I was short circuited. I was like, I can do that, can I? Oh shit. And I felt the strength. And the reason why I bring this up for those that are listening is because like me, I'm 45 years old. And like I was telling Zach, when I was younger, I hit the weights. I didn't give a shit about warming up or stretching. What? Nah, I don't have time for that, man. I got, yo, we hit these curls up. I'm not going out tonight, yo. It's a wrap.
Yeah, man. Gotta get the girls in for the girls and get out of the gym.
That's it, man. Curls, we got like triceps, hit the triceps, push up, my chest roll up, man. Shoulders upright rolls. That was my other one too. Had to have the traps popping.
Jacking up the shoulders.
You know what I'm saying, bro? Zach, crazy. So it's like and plus like I had that space. Now when I got busier, like when I mean busier specifically, for those that are listening, when I got married, when I have like having the full-time gig and working like 50 hours, even though I'm getting paid salary for 40, 50, 60 hours, coming home doing that, yard work, blah, blah, blah. Then kids. What? I made other things a priority rather than myself. And then when I go into the gym, I didn't want to hear shit because I was like, yo, I know what I'm doing, man. Back up. Right. So now in this phase, especially going through the pain and then the surgery, I'm like, yo, what are the ways I can be strong and live long and keep moving for the longest period of time?
Yeah, man.
You know, like that wiry strength, I guess some people call it, where it's like, yo, listen, I don't have to be huge. And if I do, because I got the genetics for it, I'm like, yo, okay, cool. As long as I can keep moving, that's my shit. I want to get to 108, man.
You gotta be strong enough to do the things that you want to do and not be in pain, right?
Right.
That's where it is, and that's different for everyone. But
Right.
you touched on something real good that I want to rewind real quick. You said, you know, when you're younger, you're hitting the weights, no warm up, no cool down, nobody can tell you shit.
Right.
Um, and that'll work. It works. I mean, it works. I was there. I did that, you know, through my, you know, early to mid 20s. But guaranteed there will be a point where you're starting to get backed up against the wall from little nagging aches and pains. It'll start as those little nagging aches and pains,
Yep.
and you continue to ignore it. And then those aches and pains become injuries, flare ups. They become, you know, even worse in some cases. You have to get surgery. You know, I know plenty of guys who are my age or younger, and they're going through their, you know, first, second, third rotator cuff surgeries. You know, lower back, you know, tendons getting ruptured and like disc bulging and da 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 da. And so you can get through it. And a lot of people do that and just push through it. But for myself, this was a few years ago, and I was 26, 27, and I just started getting a lot of anterior knee pain. I'm thinking to myself, man, I'm young. Like, this is supposed to be my prime where I'm able to move really well and get stronger and put on lean muscle and perform really well. But my knees feel like shot. So instead of saying, you know, screw it, just gonna keep pushing through it, no pain, no gain, I had to kind of take a look at what I was doing with my training and my training approach and see what I was missing out on. Because I know, you know, strength training is not supposed to put you in pain.
Right.
A good strength training program should get you out of pain and help you feel more resilient, not put you into pain.
Right.
So I had to kind of look at that. And that's where I kind of, I guess, went on a little bit of a mission and kind of became obsessive over what am I missing? What am I doing too much of? What am I not doing enough of? And long term, you know, I think that helped me with a lot of my clients, having a little more respect for the body and understanding what it takes to bring a balance to the body, but also helping myself kind of repair the way I was training, strength and imbalances, to now fast forward a couple years later, where I'm back to hitting old PRs, you know, even doing more than my old PRs and doing it pain-free, which is the most important thing for me, and feeling like I can move well and I'm not sore as hell for 2, 3, 4 days after, but I'm recovering in a day or two. And it came down to, you know, watching out how much intensity I was doing and making sure I'm supporting, you know, some other areas of fitness like warming up and cooling down and mobility and conditioning and taking rest days and, you know, finding out what's the kind of the minimal effective dose and getting that minimal effective dose and then moving on rather than just pushing it and pushing it and pushing it every day.
Dude, oh man, you just reminded me of this. I'm trying to, the name of this dude escapes me, but he's a UFC trainer. I remember I was listening to a podcast with him and Joe Rogan. I gotta find it. I'll put it in the notes or something. I'll send it to you, Zach. But he was talking about this very similar thing to what you're saying, where he was like, look, I'm gonna go in and train. Like if I go in and train a little bit every day, like I'm building that memory. I'm not taxing myself. He's like, where some people are gonna go and train. And I was like, and he was explaining, he was like, what I'm doing is I'm actually breaking down the body rather than actually being efficient with the body. Yeah. And I remember learning animal flow from Mike Fitch. Like I remember when he was teaching us and we would have great form. And then all of a sudden we try to muscle through it. He was like, stop. And I was like, we were all like, what? He was like, listen, when you're learning this practice, it ain't about muscling through it. It's about being in it. You start to break down, stop and reset. And I was like, wow. Because usually in my, like, I keep hearing like push, keep pushing. Blah.
Yeah, man. That's the generation you come from, though, a little more.
Yo, it's crazy. Yo, and it's wild because, Zach, I see that I see that in everything, right? It's like, yo, hustle harder. You got to do this. Like, keep pushing. And I remember talking to my surgeon, and he was like, he was like, yeah, you're young to have hip replacement surgery, and I'm seeing a lot of people that are young, your age and younger, starting to come in, shoulder injuries, knees, and he was like, I'm starting to see more hips in younger people too, and I'm like, for real? He's like, oh yeah, yeah. He was like, and you know, most people be like, oh, like, you know, you have some people that are like CrossFit haters and shit. There's some people that are yoga haters, and some people that are, listen, I don't give a shit what you do. You're gonna, it's a point where you have to combine all these things, right? So I have something I was thinking of this whole time. I want to see how this rocks. I want to create this, I'm going to create this space on here where we're going to have tips to the strongest self for different age ranges. All right. So, Zach, because your podcast is Strongest Self, we're going to break down some tips that you want others to hear in the 20 to what I say. Yeah, I'm going to say, I said the 20 to 29 bracket, 30 to 45 bracket, 45 and over bracket.
Sure.
All right. Okay.
So,
Zach, what's the tips you got for the strongest self? And also, this is the thing too, everybody, because like Zach, I appreciate how Zach thinks differently. This is, I want you to be open to these suggestions, because this is about, like, if you're 20 to 29, listen, you already know, shit. All we're saying is we're looking to level up here. So I'm just putting this out here, disclaimer in space. Keep the ears and mind open. Hear what my man has to say. Zach, hit him up with some tips.
Here we go. So that first age range. So I'm at the end range of that. I'm 29 right now. I'll be 30 in May. So I guess one thing that I would have learned to appreciate, and I fully believe if I had, I would be stronger and bigger and better performing now than I was before, is having a well-balanced program. So right now, I'm doing a 4-day a week, 2 upper, 2 lower body days, hitting all the, human movement patterns, squat, hinge, lunge, or something single leg, push, pull, locomotion, some rotation work. So I'm doing all that stuff a couple times a week in those sessions.
Gotcha.
And then just the balance of really these pushing, squatting, lunging movements, and then, your hinging and your pulling movements, and how the body is built and where the stability and the strength of the body is. And that's all down the back of the body. So I wish I had done more of a balanced routine, and within that, done a lot more to strengthen the back of my body. I was squatting twice a week, deadlifting maybe, but maybe skipping it out, just doing some like hamstring curls or whatever, but not really developing the strength and the stability of the backside of the body. So that's a big one, having that balance. And then also talking about just conditioning, mobility, warm-ups, cool downs, training more for longevity at that age.
Yeah.
And understanding that, yeah, you can get a lot out of that age range because you're young and you can recover better, but you also want to do this in that next age bracket, boom, into your 30s, your 40s, your 50s. Strength training should be a lifelong endeavor.
Right.
And if you're pushing it, right off the gate, quarter 1, you come out blazing, and then quarter 2, you're burnt out and injured, you're going to have problems. So
yep,
I think you'll get more out of having a more well-rounded approach, maybe doing a touch less each day in the gym, and actually recovering and getting the cumulative effect of getting stronger. Because I actually do less in the gym now, and I'm getting stronger.
So this is, man, because Zach, that's like, I hear what you're saying, right? And when I have like a lifetime, when I'm working with younger guys, it's like when I'm talking to them about like, well, hey, so what's your recovery look like? They're like, yo, I don't really stretch. Like maybe I'll do like 10 minutes on the machine, on cardio. Like I'm like,
Right.
then when I talk to them about like, yo, so like, jacuzzi, massage, foam rolling, yoga, breath work, they're like,
No.
what?
No, I
So
just arms instead.
yeah. And here's the thing, like, because I remember like especially because I love learning about like the body, like dynamics and energy and fields and structure. And I really appreciate what you're saying. I think it's so huge for the longevity of people is training the backside of the body.
Yeah.
Because in our society now, even younger, man, like more like I'm talking to these young guys that coming out of college and now they have a job. Like, college, they're up and like, yo, what's up? Now they're here, they're like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and they're still training like the end, like the front of the body, like the pushes, the shoulders, curls, squat. Like they're training those things. And I mean, listen, I'm saying it, I'm speaking from experience because, like, look, what I talked about before. Yo, man, I'm about to these crunches real quick. I'm going out.
Beach muscle workout.
Right. So this piece right here, what you're saying about the posterior chain is huge. So posterior chain work, that would be like Romanian deadlifts. You said pulls, rows, pull-ups,
Pull down,
over
pull ups, man.
single arm rows. Yeah, like, oh, so Zach, hold up, man. What about band work? Because I know you do a lot of band work, and I'm starting to see a lot of this out there. So what about that for this age range? Is that they pull that in for them too right now?
I love band work for everyone. I mean, bands you can use. I use them for warm ups. They're great for cool downs. They're great for finishers. You can use them for accommodating resistance to change how much weight is loaded onto the body
Mhm.
at different points through a range of motion of an exercise, right? As you go closer to the ground, band is going to shorten and it'll apply less resistance. And as you come up to the top of a lift, it's going to stretch out, applying more resistance. So that's great for strength training effects. But yeah, man, those bands tend to be very joint friendly. So you're not loading a lot of external resistance, not doing a lot of compressive work on the body. So you're kind of saving your joints. And you can also do some of this band work at the end of your workouts for pretty high volume. So you can get that nasty pump that we all love. We love walking out of the gym with a nasty pump in like the upper back or the arms or whatever. But that's also not necessarily going to make you really sore and fatigued. So you get that kind of touch of, I got that nice pump and I'm walking out of the gym. You get those endorphins going and you're feeling yourself. And you kind of give a little bit to that ego, but it's not going to compromise you in terms of recovery and feeling it too much the next day. So yeah, I love band work, man. I mean, I think that's probably the first thing I'll tell people to get if they don't have it is go get yourself a nice set of bands, because there's so much you can do with that, either at home, bringing it to the gym. I mean, there's so many applications for it, and it can really expand the kind of repertoire of how you train or expand some of your options.
Yeah, so I'm thinking too, man. Like we're gonna talk about bands in each of these age ranges because I'm just thinking now. There's something specific that I think if bands will do as far as the resolve as we get older too. I'm gonna come back to that. All right, ZB, 30 to 45. What's up? What's the strongest self tip?
Yeah, so I think in this age range is where a lot of us start to have less time,
Yes.
right? Like you were saying, right? Maybe you're starting a family, maybe you have kids, maybe your career is taking off to a new level, and all of a sudden you go from training 6, 7 days a week to, damn, I can only barely get 2 or 3 days in. And you still try and train at the intensity and with maybe the same workout split as you did before. So you're still trying to come into the gym and hit chest on that day one, and then back on that next day, and then maybe you skip legs because I just didn't have time and energy to do that. And you're just gonna be missing out so much And I think this age range is where you need to start to reevaluate your goals and say, what do I want out of my training? What's most important to me? You know, do I want to maintain weight, maintain my muscle mass, my strength, be able to move around, be able to enjoy the time I have with my kids, not be in pain, have energy, sleep better. You know, you get some of these kind of more holistic goals, I think, as people grow up and there start to be other things that are a priority in their life. Now training becomes more of a way to facilitate a higher quality of life. And that requires, it can require a different approach to training depending on how you were in your, you know, in your 20s training. You know, I think a lot of time in your 20s you're training and it's all, I just want to look good and be strong.
Right.
You know, and you'll compromise a lot
yes.
To get to that. Now it's all about, now we really got to dial in and say, okay, how can we find the best balance to that approach for a busier life? And I'll probably say for the 90% of that age range, at least the people I train, we're doing a total body routine, a total body split. So every day you come in the gym, we're doing a little bit of everything versus just an upper body or just a chest day. Because if you only have 2 or 3 days in the gym, you got to make sure you're going through those movement patterns and working on that stuff day in and day out. Even though it seems like, but I'm not doing these 5, 6 exercises for the chest, so how can my chest grow? You need that minimal effective dose, man. One or 2 exercises of a press in a session, it's all you really need to maintain or build strength. And I used to be a non-believer in that until I started training that way and actually got stronger than I ever have and have less pain in my shoulders. So a lot of time there's just unnecessary volume, chasing a pump, and all you're really doing is just banging on your joints.
Breaking it down.
And you might look good for the next couple hours because you got a nasty pump. And yeah, you'll grow still, but you're also probably going to feel like super fatigued, really sore, maybe hit some periods where you're demotivated to train because you're overtraining. Right. So it's more about like that longevity, which I really think should be across the board for everyone. But I think as you get into this age bracket, it becomes a little bit more of, okay, something's got to give. And how can I use my training to facilitate everything else versus my training is everything.
Right. You know? Yeah. Well, it's like interesting, man, because like as you're saying this, Zach, I'm thinking like it's really reassessing what longevity. It's like reassessing what longevity looks like in this phase. Because like you said, you know, longevity. Think longevity in that younger phase, right? And I appreciate what you say about reevaluating the goals because, you know, at the younger stage, you know, I can lift however I want, right? Yet at the same time, there's additional responsibilities in that next phase, that 30, 45, like career, what have you, family. And I recognize for myself, it's like, as you said that, it brought me a situation I had with my doctor when I was, I was 34, 35, and it was right before Elijah was going to be born. Actually, it was like 2 years before Elijah was going to be born. Now I think about it, because we started talking about having kids. And I remember I was working in the city at the time, and my blood pressure was out of freaking control. And like, I didn't have that much time to work out. So I was like doing doing the stuff I thought, like, because I was like, yo, this is what I used to do. So I'm going to do this again. And I remember I had a conversation with my doctor. He was like, so, you know, he looked at my blood pressure. He was like, shit, man. He was like, so you taking care of yourself? What are you doing for like exercise? I was like, you know, I lift weights, you know. He's like, are you doing any cardio? I was like, I don't really have time. You know, he's like, listen, if you don't change your lifestyle, you'll be dead by 40. And I was like, now I was 204. I was like 240, 245. Wow. I had shoulders so I could hide it. And like, you know, like I could, I'm 5'11", so I could technically.
Bro, I need to see these pictures. I had no idea. Damn.
I'm gonna pull them out, man, because you'd be like, damn, look at that pussy mother. Oh, damn. Like, you know, I had the face, like, you know, you could, you know, it's like when people slim down, you see in the face. Yeah. like people from back then, they see me now, they'll be like, damn, you lost a lot of weight, man. Because right now I'm running at like 185.
Yeah, right.
So I remember that was when I had to reevaluate, because I was like, yo, I'm about to have a kid. I want to be here for my kid. And I'm seeing a lot of men at that phase, man, right now. Like, I've seen, like, I've had some members come in, they're up there, they're overweight, and they're just having kids. And I'm seeing that, like, how before we talked about that flip and like, yo, they got that exercise. There's also that flipping, like, yo, I could fucking die.
Right.
Cause like, yo, I'm 45, man. Listen, I can count on two hands how many of my cats I grew up with are gone. So I think it's really for men. So men in that age range, man, like, I know you may be thinking, yo, I know what to do, blah, blah, blah. What I'm inviting you to is reevaluating and determining what longevity looks like, especially like you talk about if your career is taking the next level. Do you want to have more energy so you get to travel, you get to be able to do your presentations, you get to be present for all your meetings? Yo, if you're a parent, hey man, you want to be longevity, to see your son or daughter get married, go to school, graduate, live life, all that shit. What's it gonna, yo, reevaluate now and take action. That's what I love about this. Like, you want to, and then it's about that higher quality of movement you were saying.
Yeah.
And exercise. So this looks like Zach was saying, doing something total body. From my end, like, look, start taking yoga and breathe. Like, it doesn't even have to be yoga. I don't even care if it's yoga. Move your body in ways that you did when you were a kid. That's one reason I love Animal Flow.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's all ground based, just moving, exploring your body and the ways to move.
Yeah, bro. And you know what the crazy thing is, Zach? Every time I teach someone this, like, a funny thing happened yesterday. I was teaching a young man this, and we'll talk about this. And I notice every time I teach Animal Flow how much people are in a box. They're like, well, I gotta be over here. Who said? Mm-hmm. What, like, do I put my hands this way? How does it feel for you? And I can tell they get frustrated when they're like, well, you just tell me what I was supposed to. No, your body got to figure it out, man, because your body's different than it was. So now you get to figure it out. And this is the thing about this age range, and I think even the next age range too. Come back to being a kid, almost like Benjamin Button it, right? Like, and reverse engineer where we want to go. So, and then reassess it now. Right. But yo, oh man. I wish this conversation was out when I was younger, man. Because, like, bro, yet would I have heard it though? Maybe. You know what I'm saying? Right.
That's always the challenges.
Yo, you and I were talking about this the other day too. You give me some guy. You like give me some. You give me a good talk, man. When we were talking about a client, and we were having the same conversation. Like, not everyone was gonna listen. And listen, all the people that are gonna listen to us are gonna be like, yeah, okay. Yeah, all right. And then they still may do what they're going to do. Yet, listen, we're still going to put this out here because this is important. And listen, we want to see you win. We want to see you strong. No doubt. In all forms. So listen, we invite you to, hey, give this a go. Try it. Like, well, we got one more segment. Then Zach's going to give his information because listen, my man. So, Zach, 45 plus. Yeah. What's the strongest self tips or tip?
Yeah, so I guess it's similar to the 30 to 45. But this may be a time where people have a little more time and freedom. Yeah. Kids are growing up a little more, their career is more established. So a lot of them have more time and more money as well to invest. So I think if you have the financial ability to hire a coach in some capacity, whether that's someone, in the gym that you can trust, someone online that you can check in with, someone to hold you accountable and make sure you're doing the things that are going to help you reach your goals. But having someone that's a professional and can give you that guidance is huge. It's a huge plus to have that, you know. But otherwise, I think it's very similar. You know, what are your goals, and what do you want to do, and how do you want to, you know, retire, and starting to think about that as that kind of as your career advances. And do you still want to be able to move around and do whatever activities that you enjoy? You know, so again, back to that kind of longevity and having balance and making sure that you're staying strong enough and mobile enough and conditioned enough so you can go out and enjoy all those things, and that you're not compromising yourself and ignoring your health for the long term, you know, because that's a point where I think people, they get to this age and they've put it off for so long. And then, man, to build it back from zero at that age where your body has, you know, everything starts to slow down a little bit more metabolically wise. It's hard to build muscle. It's hard to burn body fat. You know, things just happen a little slower. That's tough, man. It's tough to rebuild it from there. So I think keeping it consistent through your 30s into your 40s is big, because it'll be a lot easier to keep it going. But regardless, if you have a coach, someone that understands kind of how to rebuild yourself back up, that's going to be really valuable, instead of trying to just jump back in doing what you're doing when you're 25, 30, because that's not going to work.
Yo, that's injury highway, man.
Yeah.
That is real quick, bro. Listen, speaking from a cat in that just entering that age range, Lord God, let me tell you what. Me, if I try to do some of the stuff like I did back in the day, Lord God, no.
Much. Yes, you got to find ways to intelligently strength train.
Yes, thank you.
Strong.
Well, Zach, when you say that, what do you mean, though? Sorry to interrupt, but what do you say? Sit like intelligently trained, because I see that I get the two words, but for you, what does that mean, man?
Yeah, so there's like certain, you know, principles about strength training and doing a strength training routine that just are scientifically kind of proven,
right?
And we kind of want to stay somewhat within those. And obviously, some experimentation is cool here and there, and everyone's a little different, responds differently, but you know, it all comes back to your goals. So if your goal is to build strength and performance, then we got to look at top end strength and watching how much load we're putting on and how many reps we're doing, and you know, keeping that rep range relatively low on that top end strength, and then coming in and doing accessory and assistance work for more higher volume, you know, and just being careful of the movement patterns we choose, you know. So I'm not just going to jam someone into a barbell back squat. But let's start you off doing, you know, a box squat, a goblet box squat, and making sure that you have the appropriate ability to brace your core, support your spine, brace your upper body and your shoulders where that weight is loaded, have you squat down to a box at an appropriate height, so you're not going into a range of motion that's potentially unsafe, and then building you up from there. Versus, it's your first day back in the gym, man. Here's a fucking bar. Let's throw it on your shoulders. Squat all the way down as deep as you can, and you stand back up. You know, that back squat can be really tough on the body, on the joints, on the lower back, on the knees, and it's unnecessary. It's unnecessary to do to get strong and to feel good. You know.
Yeah, man. I think that, and what you say is really helpful about getting a coach, because I think, you know, something. And so that is coming back to when you and I, got taking me through the box squat. When I was like, yo, can you show me a proper box squat?
Yeah.
And we went through and found the range. Now, if I was to do this myself, I like try to find it and not have someone outside of me being able to see these little spaces. Because listen, as we get older, there's spaces that start to compress, right? Like lower back, cervical spine, like all these different things, like from our patterns and being stuck, energetic stress, we start to come into this fetal position. All these things happen, especially in this age range. The stress is real. So I think having a coach to be able to have someone guide. I even say a guide in this age range because I think there's like a little bit of an ego, like, well, a trainer or a coach. I don't know. Like, I just feel that. But I think like having someone that's a guide to, as you were saying, help a person find their strength. Because I think in this age range, it's interesting, bro, because I'm taking notes over here and shit. So it's interesting because I'm looking at when we said 20 to 29, we said longevity, right? You said longevity.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at 45 to and up is like get strong and move.
Yeah.
It's like, so if because I have a woman that she's had some shoulder and back issues. And it's the thing is like, I recognize her mentality was the same mentality like I was vibing on. Like, if I do this, I'm gonna break.
Yeah.
And we went through like, I remember coaching her through a kettlebell deadlift, right? And like the bracing and like like coming down, and we actually elevated the kettlebell. And she was like, and it wasn't like, okay, here we're gonna go right here, but it was like, okay, building the confidence. Then we went big. And it's funny because I had her close her eyes because like I changed the kettlebell up because I didn't want to see how much it was because then I know she'd be on her freaking head. Like, Paul, no. I was like, we've been bracing, we prepared for this right here. Mm-hmm. And she did it no problem, man. Mm-hmm. Now, this woman is in her 50s, and it's the same thing. And listen, I can tell you the same story with men, too. I think for this age range, it's about strong and movement.
Yes.
Because my man Mike Schmidt, he's a Qigong guy, and he talks about this phase of life is the metal, where it's like we kind of like tighten up, like the metal element. Like we're resilient, we're strong, but then we tighten up. And I think that's huge for this age range and getting out of the body, getting your breath work in because you're stressed out as hell. Listen, so we got the whole age, the whole range, right? 20, 29, 20, 29, 30, 45, 45 and up. So since we did it, can we talk about, since we're in this age range, can we talk about how stress impacts the body right now?
Yeah.
Especially for this age range.
Yeah.
So Zach, so you do nutrition as well. I know, like hearing you talk and like the chemicals in the body. Bless up the folks listening to this that are 45 and up about that impact of stress, because I think they're probably tired of me saying shit. So bless them up with something.
Yeah, so stress, we all know that's the silent killer, right? So
Yep.
Stress comes in a lot of different forms. You got your mental stress, physical stress, environmental stress, what's in your environment, chemical stress, temperatures, heat and cold. So there's a lot of different stressors out there.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing about it is your body can't differentiate from one stress or the other. So your nervous system is going to react the same way. Right. If you have mental stress, if you have, if you're overdoing your training, if you're not sleeping, whatever that is, your body is going to react the same way. So this is why it's super important to have a coach who can understand what all those lifestyle factors are, because it's more than just looking at how much time do you have to work out in the gym. Okay, 3 days. All right, we're going to do X, Y, Z. It's how much stress are you under? How are you sleeping? What's your nutrition like? And if
I have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, if you're way overloaded on the stress, your training, even if you're doing 3 days a week, is going to look a hell of a lot different from the next guy over who's got less stress, but still the same time to work out. And that's because if you're really stressed, what's our training going to be mostly about? It's going to be about reducing that stress, not pushing the intensity level so much. And you also have to understand that your results as an effect of having that much stress are going to come a lot slower. Your progress is going to happen a lot slower because first we have to achieve a little bit of balance, because the body is not going to create change and recover from training and get better under that stress.
Right.
If it's too much, it won't be able to recover from it.
Right.
So it's important to look at where your stress is coming from and implement ways to manage that stress. And, you know, that can be outside of training, you know, but recovery cardio, so low intensity cardio can really help with that. Breath work, like you were talking about, is a huge help with being able to tap into your nervous system and being able to kind of reduce some of that stress or that perceived stress. And then having the appropriate amount of movement and exercise and loading, so it's not super intense, because you don't want to push into more stress for someone that's already stressed. You know, so being able to evaluate that on any given day and then train within the kind of limitations that you have based on your outside stressors, that's something that a good coach will be able to kind of understand and manipulate on any given day, versus just having a training program or just doing random exercises and just trying to come in and push it hard every day, push it harder, push it harder, push it harder.
Yeah, doesn't make sense, man. Doesn't make sense. And again, like I'm coming from this space of what I'm seeing out in the collective is there's that vibe of, man, you got to keep pushing. And that stress is real, man. And it's, you know, I'm like someone would say, like, this is some woo shit, Paul, but like, I'm a big chakra guy. Yeah. Like, and what the heck that I mean by that is, like, I believe in the energy centers of the body and the impact when they're off balance. And, you know, for example, the hips, like, that's like, especially if there's a sense of a lack of security or protection, that will jam up your root chakra. And if that can result in like hip pain, knee pain, ankle pain, if you're not having any sex, or your testosterone's low, that sacral chakra is off. And like, I even for men, since men talk about podcasts, like, I'm hearing a lot of men talk about low testosterone. They can't get this shit up. And, you know, it's like, and that's a ding on men, man. Like, that's some shit that will freaking hurt. That's some shit that will hurt. Like, yo, my thing doesn't work. And I think that's where that getting stronger and moving and getting that blood circulating. Because listen, it's a lot about blood circulation. And if the stress is real, man, yo, ain't no blood happening. Yo, the blood is going to be going to, like, you either got to flee or fight. You know what I'm saying, Zach? It's like, so, and even like, for example, if people are failing to speak their truth and what's happening, that's throat chakra. Your shoulder's going to be jammed up, neck problems, jaw problems. So, man, there's a lot of stuff that's happening in the body, and it comes back to moving and strengthening the body, because that's the house, right, Zach? It's like, take care of that shit.
That's your, it's the, you know, the shell that you experience the world in. So if you can't physically move throughout the world, what's your quality of life and your experience? That's going to start to limit everything else.
Everything. And
so
listen,
that's got to be a priority, is being able to move well through the world so you can experience the things you want. Like, you don't want your body to be that limiting factor, you know, and that's where that health and that wellness, and, you know, something I always say to Paul, and I say to some other people who kind of have that mentality of, oh, I'm gonna break in the gym. I tell them, strong shit doesn't break, right? So if you got to go about it the right way. You can't be reckless and stupid about it. But if you slowly build up that strength, and your body is strong physically, your joints are strong and supported, you know how to move well because you've put the time in to do that, and you have the right mobility, and you're well conditioned, and you eat the right things, your body's going to be strong through and through. And that's going to lay over into everything else in your life, you know, and just create the best existence and the best version of yourself, you know. And if you're not working on that stuff, you're going to have a lot of weaknesses that show through, and that's going to break you mentally, physically, financially. It could start to affect you, you know. So what's the real cost of not investing time or maybe money into into your health and your wellness and working out as you get older. You know, what's that real cost? And that to me is what it's really about on the most fundamental level. Yeah, we can get strong and shredded and look good and stuff, but I don't think you can't ever compromise the health and the wellness aspect of it, regardless of what your goal is. For me, that's what I always coach first. And once you have those foundations, then we can build on it.
Lord God, man. Woo, child. You know what? You just, man, thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Of course, man.
Because, man, dude, I'm so happy you put that. And I'm so happy this is recorded. People get to hear that. Because, listen, it's about that strength, man. Listen, you said it perfectly, man. If you get stronger, because it's going to impact everything. And it's a mental thing. It's a mental thing.
Yeah.
If I go through a day and I know, like, yo, listen, I got strength and resolve, I'm going to have that extra kick to get through it.
Yeah, man. And also, going back to stress, you know, it's an interesting thing we talked about, you know, stressors in life and your body can't differentiate from it.
Yeah.
One great thing about training is as your body gets stronger, as you get better conditioned, your body actually has the ability to handle more stress, right? You kind of create a bigger gap, I guess, between your baseline and the top end of your stress, right? So you can go there and handle that stress and recover from it better. So strength training and conditioning and doing mobility work and breath work, you're actually improving your body's ability to handle all that, whether it's mental stress, right? Emotional stress, anything. Because remember, your body can't differentiate it. So when you're going into them and putting stress on your body physically, right, then your body has to then go back and recover. And it's actually part of the training effects. Your body's getting better at recovering from stress. That's part of it. That's part of it. And that's why it has that layover. Even though you're doing something physical, it can have those effects, you know, mentally and emotionally and other aspects of your life.
Get stronger, damn it.
Yes, sir.
Speaking of this, man, like, listen, fit as Bruck. Yo, bruh, tell the people how they can get in contact with you. Give them all the stats and deets, man.
Yeah. So I'm on social media. You can find me on Instagram. It's at Fit as Bruck. That's FITASBRUCK. So I'm on there. You can follow my page. You know, I try and put up a lot of content, not just exercise content, but a lot of some nutrition content, some more kind of holistic content and approaches to health and wellness. But definitely my specialty and what I love is coaching kind of strength, building muscle, performance. But I believe everybody should train like that, you know, perform. So that sounds like something you want to get into. Give me a follow. You can always shoot me a DM there, and reach out to me if you have questions on Instagram there. And then otherwise, if you're local, if you're in New Jersey, in northern New Jersey, I'm over at the Lifetime Fitness in Berkeley Heights. So you can come down there, pop over, get you some work. No, but in all seriousness, you can come over and we can set up, you know, a consultation and kind of get into all this stuff that we've just been talking about. What's your lifestyle look like? What are your training goals? And what have you done in the past? And what do we need to work around? And let's start to figure out a plan for you going forward so you can start to build your way back towards those health and wellness goals that you might have. So yeah, you can hit me on Instagram. If you're local, come into Lifetime Fitness. And I guess those are probably the main two right now.
Blessings. That's what's up, man. Listen, I'm telling people, follow this man, because his content, what he shows, what he shares, you will elevate. You will evolve, man. I'm telling you, listen, you don't have to believe anything I say. Go for yourself, all right? Zach, before we wrap up, man, I'd like to give my guest like 90 seconds to share either to highlight something you talked about or to share a message that you want people to take in on this topic of strength and
Yeah.
strong self.
Yeah. So, it could go a lot of different ways, but I think number one thing is find a coach or find someone who has the knowledge and can connect with you, that you trust, and let them help guide you. You know, because everyone can use it. The top end athletes in the world all have coaches because they know that, you know, they're going to get them to get that 1% better, to get that push that they need, to give them that accountability. That's a big one, is that someone holds you accountable and say, are you doing what you set out to do? Or are you sticking to the plan? And if you're not, it's not a failure. It's, let's adjust it. You know, that's what a good coach does, is they're there to stick with you long term and guide you around those obstacles that may have come up that you may or may not have been aware of. So it's really, really valuable for you to have someone in your corner whose their job is to push you and help you reach your goals. That's what they care about. And a good coach is going to take that real personal, man. Like sometimes I feel like I take my clients' goals more personal than they do. Like they told me they want to do XYZ and I'm like, yo, come on, let's go. Why didn't you do XYZ? We had a plan. You didn't stick to it. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
I almost get like more heated than they're sometimes they're like, you know, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Come on, man, we set out to do XYZ. Let's do it. What are you waiting for? Kind of thing, you know? So I would say, if anything, find someone that asks you questions, that really strives to understand what it is that you're going through, you as an individual, and what you need. Because it honestly, I think, is one of the best investments that you can make in yourself.
Yep.
Someone that's going to look out for your health and your wellness week in and week out. What?
Yeah.
We don't have that in our society. You see your doctor once or twice a year and they tell you, oh, you know, exercise and move more and eat healthier. But what does that even mean versus someone who's seeing you every day or every week and trying to really get you to be your healthiest self, you know?
You heard it here, folks. Get yourself a coach. Get yourself a guide.
Yes.
Zach, man, I'm so grateful for you, man. I'm so grateful. Thank you for this time. Thank you for being here on this podcast. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, your intellect, your passion, bro. I appreciate you, King. Thank you, thank you, thank you. For those checking in, listening, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for supporting the Men Talk About podcast. Launching this summer, we have the Men Talk About Academy on Patreon. So you can come and support. There's going to be more in-depth interviews, masterminds, programs. Like, it's going to be crazy. So stay tuned for that. That's coming out May 1. And Zach, the video's coming out on this, and you get to listen to it. Be well, everybody. Be well, man. Take care of yourself, man. Do your develop yourself, educate yourself, do your inner work. It's worth it. This is Paul, your host, and I'm out. Peace.